Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Take This TV, the television book club podcast, where each week we watch an episode or two of our favorite shows, and we talk about it with our friends in the fandom. That's you. Hello.
Got 'em.
I'm Carmen Ascanese, and I'm joined as always by the one and only Aaron Fusco. Hello.
Hello, it's me, Aaron Fusco. What's up? How's everyone doing?
Yes, how are you doing? Let us know.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Or alternately, I'm so sorry to hear that. I hope things get better.
Oh, sorry for your loss.
Wow.
But this season,
Wow.
we'll be talking. Anyway, moving
Moving along.
This season, we're watching a show that both of us are big fans of, Arcane.
Mm-hmm. So
Yes.
this is episode 4 of our Arcane watch, which means that we are covering episodes 7 and 8. So again, like always, if you haven't watched or listened to this podcast, pause, watch 8 episodes of Arcane, listen to 3 episodes of this podcast, and then come right back, come here, and we can jump in and talk about these 2 jam-packed episodes of plot.
So much stuff happens.
Wow. It's hard to remember how much stuff they really packed into these 2.
Yes. But before we jump into that, we gotta do the recaps from our good friend, the
Netflix summary writer?
Summary writer, yeah.
Netflix episode description writer. Okay, so episode 7 is called The Boy Savior. Caitlin and Vi meet an ally in Zaun's streets and head into a frenzied battle with a common foe. Victor makes a dire decision. And then episode 8, called Oil and Water. Disowned heir Mel and her visiting mother trade combat tactics. Caitlin and Vi forge an unlikely alliance. Jinx undergoes a startling change.
Startling. I wasn't startled, but I understand why this is.
I was startled in the sense of, boy howdy, is it not a good idea to inject Jinx with Shimmer? Feels like a bad move. I'm startled that this is the decision you've made.
Oh, does this mean that Silco can finally be on the Bad Decision Olympics tracker?
Yeah, I think that this is the first thing that's like not
evil.
I mean, it is bad. It is a bad decision, and it is not good. It is not objectively a good thing to do, but I don't think it was driven by villainous intent. We can talk about it more, but like, I do think in his own sick, twisted way that he does care about Jinx. And so I do think that this is a bad decision in that he is not making it for like nefarious villain reasons.
For once. Oh my gosh. But before we do that, let's jump back to episode 7. So where we last left off, Caitlin and Vi had been kidnapped.
Yeah.
Hoodwinked, bamboozled. Actually, no, they weren't bamboozled or hoodwinked, but they were kidnapped with hoods. And we learn that it's Echo.
Big reveal time. Which is also hard to not spoil as we were talking about this, because we all knew who that Firelight guy was the whole time. Because
it was so obvious, yeah.
Well, I don't necessarily think it's supposed to be that big of a reveal. Like, when you think about it, from watching television, you know that, like, that character is probably somebody we've seen before. We know that the other 2 kids are dead. We're pretty sure that, or we know that, like, Vander and his friend are dead. Like, the list of named characters that we've seen and have survived to the present time is very small. So, like, it is not that great a leap of logic to be like, that's Echo. And I think that, like, if you start thinking, like, that's probably a character we know when that's going to be important, I don't think it's hard to pick it out. But it is a really emotional reunion between Vi and Echo.
Yeah, I love that she had the cuffs undone the whole time. Then she just gives him a hug. I thought that was really sweet.
Yeah.
I will say, How are you hiding your locks under that mask? Because, like, it's always so funny when a character, like, does a mask reveal and then they have, like, a full head of hair. And I'm like, how are you hiding that in a mask? But whatever.
Animation.
Television animation logic, yeah.
I mean, that's every Spider-Man also, right? Just, like, having hair does not lend itself well to that sort of mask, but whatever.
So I have a hot take.
Uh-oh.
Are you ready for this?
No.
I don't like when it just turns into a music video, which like we first saw with Imagine Dragons, which was the funniest, wildest thing that happened. I feel like we forgot to talk about that last episode.
We didn't talk about it on the podcast, but then immediately after we stopped recording, I was like, how did we miss talking about Imagine Dragons being characters in the universe? It was incredible.
So they are Imagine Dragons in the universe singing a song.
Yeah, you don't have to imagine these dragons. They were there.
They were real. The dragons were real all along.
Wow.
So that one was like,
is this the hot take you were warning me about? That you don't like
there's another
music videos in this show?
Well, no, it's not that I don't like music videos in the show. I just feel like they happen so randomly, and it just feels, I don't know, it kind of breaks the immersion and the tension of it for me. I don't really like it.
So specifically, we're talking about how this episode starts with the Echo rap.
Yeah, wasn't a fan.
And also episode 8 has the fight sequence between Echo and Jinx.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I didn't like the...
Illegal. Well, we are so different.
I like the idea of how, like, oh, it's... So, okay, the Echo rap scene, let's start there. I don't like that because I'm one of those people that's like... Right, every time there's like music involved with Black characters, always rap music, and I'm just like, oh man. Well, that was a good way for me the first time I watched it. I was like, well, obviously it's Echo, right? They're doing this whole rap interlude. It's obviously the Black character, so now that's a given.
Fair.
But with the powder scene, I just felt like it was such an emotional moment, and then they just like have this kind of like poppy songs start playing, and I was like, oh man, it really took me out of it.
Because it's so wild because it brought me in. I was like straight up crying. Really? Yeah, I think it's so beautifully done. I really like it.
I mean, I think it's an artistic choice, and I think that like it's, when you make an artistic choice, it works for some folks.
Exactly, yeah.
For other folks, and that's okay. That's great.
But that's so. I literally made a note to be like, these are some of my favorite sequences. Like I love that it started with the music video, which I would argue, since we're just starting the episode, that it can't really take you out in that instance, but maybe it didn't help bring you in, and I think that's fair.
Yeah,
but
with the Echo one.
Also, I believe that, so while League in the game itself, obviously the game doesn't have like all of this lore as part of like a vital part of the game mechanics. Riot has been really good before this about making like music videos and animated shorts. And I think Echo had an animated music video before this.
Oh, cool.
Or I think he has like a verse on one of their like this. Oh, someone's going to fact check me so hard. But like on one of their K-pop, like Riot has a K-pop band. One of their K-pop songs, I think Echo has a verse on it.
I think that K-pop band is dope. I love Sessions. I love all the stuff that they do before Worlds each year. I'm super here for all that stuff. I'm just saying.
Keep it out of Arcane.
It was just random. And I was like.
I don't know.
There was a lot of stuff in these 2 episodes that I was like, you kind of losing me a little bit. But,
interesting.
And you know what else it is also? Is that like some moments, which we'll talk about later, the specific hot take I had that we'll talk about later, it just felt too video gamey for me. And I was just like,
It is a video game show.
Oh, shoot, it's a video game show? so anywho, Echo is there. They have the sweet moment. And then
Vi is very much like, hi, remember when I was everyone's mom and I've been gone for 7 years? Because somebody tell me what is going on.
I love that Vi's just like, what the heck is happening? What is this little blue ball? Why does everybody want it? It's such a great,
underprepared.
I think it's also like, we talked about how great the writing is so far in the show. And I love that they kind of mix up the audience insert character. But like they could have had us be introduced to these older versions of the characters with Vi and then learn about the like hex tech and all that stuff through Vi while she's learning about it. But I think that like us seeing the other characters as perspective characters and learning about the world and then kind of like being reminded about it when Vi learns about it, but also just like kind of knowing more than she does. I think that was really cool. I really liked that. But anywho, so Echo shows Vi like how they've kind of built Utopia. This world in the Undercity. By the way, also, I was like, wait, because the rat dude is there. I don't know if he's a rat, but he's got the big ears. He's like some kind of animal person.
Yeah, I would think more of like a bat, but I guess.
Oh, yeah, I guess he is more like a bat. But so the bat person is there, and I was like, what? There's like animal people? And then I was like, oh, yeah, Heimerdinger's an animal person. Duh. I just completely forgot for a second, and I was like, what? That's weird. Nobody else thinks that's weird. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right.
Heimerdinger isn't in one episode and you forget about it.
But no, it's cool to see, like, I love the moment where Echo shows by the mural and is like, Powder made her choice. I thought that was an awesome moment, and it kind of like makes you feel conflicted as an audience member of like, oh man, like all these people have died, and you really want Vi and Powder to be reunited, but at the same time, it's like, oh man, is she too far gone? Like, what's gonna happen? You know? So
yeah, I mean, I want them to reconcile. I don't know that I ever asked myself, is she too like far gone? I just want there to be a happy ending, as I always do for everything. But this makes me wonder, do you think that Echo approached Jinx at some point and was like, come back or like leave Silco, and she said no? Because,
okay, so I'm glad you brought this up, because I was going to bring it up when we got to the bridge part, but I'm glad you brought it up, because when I first watched it and the bridge scene happened, I was like, did they used to have a thing? Or at least were they like, you know, I don't think we saw too many scenes with them together when they were kids. And so I was like, oh, maybe they used to have a thing or whatever.
They were like 9.
No. As older kids now, as like teenagers. Because they're both like at least 18 right now.
I don't think so.
No? I thought they were all like in their 20s.
No, I think they're like 16.
What?
I don't know. If Powder was like 9 and then like 7 years have gone by, it's not been like 10.
I thought they were all like in their 20s at this point.
I do not believe that is true.
Okay. Well, anyway, teenagers have flings or whatever. So I thought that they like had a fling or whatever. But anyway, I think it's interesting that you mentioned like, has Echo reached out to Powder, because we learned previously that from the Madam that there were people who stood up to Silco. And so I would imagine at some point Echo was probably a part of that. And maybe at some point he tried to reach out to Powder, and then she, like he said, she made her choice or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, so the first time I watched it, and I kind of still agree with first time viewing Aaron, but the scene on the bridge between Echo and Jinx makes me think that they haven't really seen each other. The fact that it flashes back to their childhood and like games they used to play together, always being the youngest of their friends or their like family group, instead of like, and like it was nothing we had seen before. It's not flashing back to a scene that was in the show before. It was flashing back to just like a game they used to play when they were kids. Made me think that like this is the first time they've seen each other. And the fact that Jinx might have held back, I think it could be argued, because in the flashback, and I think it could be argued both ways, but in the flashback, she shoots him with the paintball gun. And then in the future, in the actual fight that happens, he manages to knock her to the ground. So did she pull her shot, or did he just improve past being a child and like was able to, he knew her fight patterns and was able to beat it? I think you could argue either way. And
that's interesting. I mean, yeah, let's just jump into the bridge scenes since we're already here.
We're already here. We're talking about storylines.
I actually read that as like she didn't shoot him, like he said, and hesitated, and then he got the jump on her. He's like beating the crap out of her, which is super brutal. Yeah. And then he hesitates.
Yeah.
And then she blows up the bomb. Now, that's how I read it. But I mean, like you said, it could be read there's lots of ways you could read that. But I think that is such a great scene. Like just seeing like these friends turn to enemies. And oh my gosh, since we're talking about the bridge, we have to talk about Marcus. Freaking Marcus. So the thing about Marcus is that like on a second viewing makes me not sympathetic to him at all the whole time, is that this is the moment, this is the like become a hero moment, well, redeem yourself moment of like Vi comes to you with Caitlyn, they're like, we have evidence, we can do something about it, and he chooses to try to protect Silco.
Yeah, but I think he chooses to protect himself.
Well, yeah, but like he does the wrong thing.
Right.
And I feel like he pays the ultimate price for it. Like that was a chance for him. If he was going to do something like to turn it around, that was his chance. I feel like.
I don't think he would. I don't think it really was. I think he struggled with killing Caitlyn. So we see that like he puts the gun to her face and he is struggling to pull the trigger when the firelight bombs go off. But I don't think, like, basically he watches the girl he just fired come out from the Undercity with 2 criminals, and she's like, I have evidence. I have so much evidence that Silco's behind everything. And what Marcus hears is, I have so much evidence that you've been helping Silco this whole time.
Which, like, another thing is, like, so I feel like the show has to do this sometimes with Caitlyn. Like, sometimes it makes Caitlyn seem so dumb.
She is also dumb.
It's like, why would you, he has to be dirty. Like, why would you be like, hey, I'm going to prove to everybody that you're a dirty cop? Like,
because she doesn't. What do you think is going to happen? Because she is sheltered in the same way that Jace is. In the same way, everyone from the upper city is sheltered. Like, Jace straight up insults his best friend because he's like, Victor, why did you go to the Undercity? It's gross. And he's like, I'm from the Undercity. And Jace is like, oh, yeah, but you know what I mean. Everyone else is like, all the other pores are gross. Like, Jace and Caitlyn don't think that way. I don't think it crossed Caitlyn's mind at all that the enforcers were in on it, that there had to be a dirty cop. Because she is so sheltered and protected, her mom is on the council of Piltover. Like, she has been given preferential treatment every time, like, her parents put in a call to Marcus being like, let her guard our tent instead of anything useful during this event, like Progress Day. Like, it would never cross her mind that her boss is dirty. So to her, she's like, this is the guy we can trust. He's my boss. And obviously, like, everyone has to think the same that I do. Everyone has to want better. So if I bring him evidence of, like, the evil stuff going on, obviously he's going to hear me out. Obviously the council will hear me out and, like, do the right thing. Because she can't conceive of a world in which people are messy.
Yeah. I will say, I'm about to contradict myself because I'm happy that Echo survived because I like Echo. And come on, Token, make it to the end. But at the same time, I feel like he should have died on the bridge. I feel like he should have died when Marcus shot him because, like you said, Caitlyn's ignorant to the world, consequences for her actions. And then there could be a moment for her to be like, oh, man, like, the world's dangerous. Like, I'm privileged and sheltered. The world's dangerous. But, you know, if that's not what the show is about, they don't want to do that, then, like, I feel like when he's fighting Powder, like, that could have been a great moment for him to die. I feel like that could have been really impactful.
I
I'm also happy that he did not die.
I think you and I have very different ideas of what makes a good story. Sometimes not in a bad way, just like people are different and like different things, where you think that, like, death is really impactful, and I think that the harder thing and the more impactful thing is to live and survive. I think that's harder. It's harder to go. It's easy to die for a cause. I think it's harder to fight for it. Yeah.
For sure. I just need to, like...
Yeah, you wanted to fridge Echo for everyone else's man pain. I hear what you're saying,
I don't want to fridge Echo. I just feel like Echo and... So I just think the rules have to be consistent. So the bombs go off, right? And it's on... Well, Caitlyn also had a little bit of plot armor. The bomb lands on the gun. It goes off, blows off Marcus's arm. He's dead. Caitlyn's leg gets cut, I guess.
I thought he was dead when Jinx shot him.
No. He died after the explosion because he was trying to tell Caitlyn to tell his wife that he was sorry.
Nope, his daughter. Dies. He doesn't have a wife.
Daughter, sorry, yeah.
As far as we know, there's no wife.
And then he dies.
Okay, hold on. I'll have to rewatch that. I thought that Jinx walked up and shot him and he slumped over.
No, she shot another dude. There was like a dude crawling around and she shot that dude.
All right.
So I was like, okay, you know, explosions are dangerous. So Powder, like, sets off a grenade in her hand right next to her and Echo, and they both survive. And, like, Echo sprains his ankle, and I assume, like, getting knocked off the bridge, jumping off the bridge or something. And Powder is, like, she's hurt, but she's not, like...
I mean, she's dying.
She's dying, but she's not. But they established that the grenades, like bombs, explosions, are deadly. We've yet to see a person be exploded and survive it. Well, that's not true, actually. Lots of people got exploded in other episodes. But anyway, the moral of the story is I just feel like it has to be stakes. You know, there has to be stakes. And
do you want to know what the stakes are?
What's that?
If you're a champion in League of Legends, you survive the television show.
That's it. That's the one. Yeah.
So turns out Echo's got League plot armor.
Yeah, that's my hot take. Well, this is another one of my hot takes. There's another one coming up in the next episode. But it just took me out of it a little bit because I was like, oh man, these characters have plot armor.
Yeah.
And it's because they're in the game and they know that people, like, you know, you don't want to kill somebody's favorite character or whatever. So
I don't think they can. I don't think they're allowed to kill the characters who are the League champions.
I mean, imagine if Powder and What's-His-Bucket died, Echo died.
Like, don't think that's interesting. I think there's more to the story. I don't think that them dying in this, like, frivolous fight is the end of their story.
Well, that's why I'm saying that could have been impactful. Like, they have so much to live for and just gone as wasted over something that doesn't matter. But anyway.
Yeah, I also think Echo hurt himself more than a sprained ankle. I think he was lying to Heimerdinger.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Where he's like, I just sprained my ankle, don't worry about it. And Heimerdinger's like, clearly you're not okay.
But also in episode 7, we learn about our boy Victor. He's doing some weird science.
Hey, kid, want some science drugs?
He wants some science, kid. Yeah, so I forget the dude's name who's like the scientist underground.
Yeah, he has a name.
He does have a name.
And I don't like it. I don't remember it. I don't know that they say it.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, okay, the scientist person. We all know what you're talking about.
Singed.
Is that his name? That seems kind of rude. Because he got burned in the...
Is that his name? I think that might... Yeah, that's his name.
Wow. Okay, so Singed is talking to Victor.
Also known as the Doctor, says the Arcane wiki.
Let's go with the Doctor. So the Doctor is talking to Victor, and he's telling Victor that, because Victor's asking about the hex core, and he's like, it's not working like I need it to work or whatever. He's trying to find a cure because he's dying. And the Doctor tells him if he uses some of some shimmer, then it'll like alter his body so that he could survive something or other. Like essentially use the shimmer. It'll like boost you because it's a steroid and a drug, and you'll be able to heal yourself. So
listen, I'm not a hex tech doctor, but I think Victor's thinking is that he realized that like the blood has an effect on the hex tech cube orb. Mm-hmm. But he passed out, right? And he ended up in the hospital. His body wasn't strong enough to survive whatever he needed to do to access its magic. And so I think that the shimmer was to, like a steroid, boost his body so that he doesn't pass out when doing dangerous magical blood magic rituals. Illegal magic, yeah.
Oh, yes, that's right. And I love the scene. It's like, well, I thought it was kind of subtle. Looking back on it, it's probably not that subtle. But I love that the Doctor is telling Victor, like, you know, you're sacrificing love and connection for science because that's what it takes to be great and all this other kind of mess. And Victor's like, no, like, Jace will understand.
The only one he's concerned with.
Everybody's favorite dumb councilman, Jace, is like, we need to shut down the border and all this other kind of craziness. And I love the scene when, you know, like you said, Victor tells Jace that he's from the Undercity. And then Jace asks if the Doctor could help, and Victor says no. And so that was the moment where it's like Victor's like fully committed to being a mad scientist.
Yeah.
And we see him like...
Because Jace is so dumb. I know I say this...
He's so dumb.
I know I say this every episode, but he just like I understand. I don't think he's a villain. I don't hate Jace necessarily. I just think that like he also is so sheltered and like small-minded that like he doesn't understand the consequences for anything he does. Like when he straight up just insults Victor, it's unbelievable. Like, which is a bad decision that leads to Victor like choosing to invest more heavily in the blood magic. Like if he had said something to Jace, maybe Jace would have been like, whoa, let's think about this. Don't take drugs. We'll find another way. But he doesn't.
Yeah. And when we first see Jace before that scene where they're together, he's in the forge and he's saying that he needs to figure out a way to save Victor. And in my head, I was like, what are you doing? Like, what? You're smelting something in the forge that's going to save Victor? Like, what the heck are you doing?
No, he's
we kind of learned
weapons.
Yeah, he's making exactly the thing Victor didn't want to do with Hex Tech. He's making weapons. And we kind of see that his priorities are all out of whack.
Yeah, and Mel points out the Jinx bomb that he has that Marcus had given him to do nonsense. And Jace is literally like, it's hard to believe what they're capable of. I'm like, who? Poor people? Jace, who are you talking about? Jace.
In the beginning, before Caitlyn's family takes him in, isn't he from the Undercity? No, he's not from the Undercity.
He's from like
a different place.
Minor noble house.
Okay.
But he comes from like a long line of hammer makers, right? So
that's right, yeah.
They're like a family that used to have prominence, that like made a name for themselves, but there wasn't really, like, they became like a minor nobility.
He's Piltover poor. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yes. Which is why it was important to him that he needed a sponsorship to go to the academy. He was Piltover poor, but still of the upper city and of like a house with a title, right? He's from House Talus.
Yeah. I gotta say, I love the scene after Victor uses the shimmer and he's like running on the dock.
Oh, Victor.
It's such a good scene. I mean, we've seen it in so many movies and other things, but I loved it. I was emotional. I was like, oh man, that's so great.
But he wasn't done because the rest of his body was still failing. He turned one leg into weird venom symbiote nonsense and crystallized his leg and his blood. And then in trying to do so, he gets their lab assistant Sky turned to ash.
Oh man, the scene was, the first time I watched that, I had to pause it. I was like, that was a lot. That was too much. If Sky died, that messed me up. Yeah.
All because she couldn't tell Victor was actually in love with Jace. If only she had realized, maybe she wouldn't have been there that night.
The saddest love triangle or love square that's happening between Mel, Jace, Sky, and Victor.
Everyone is chasing someone that they're not interested in. Sky's trying to date Victor, Victor's trying to date Jace, Jace trying to date Mel, and Mel is like, I am using all of you.
And then so Sky dies, and I think that's kind of it for episode 7. Oh well, what's her bucket? Caitlyn gets hurt.
We're sort of combining all of them. We're just sort of talking storylines here.
Yeah, and so in episode 8, Caitlyn and Vi are at Caitlyn's parents' house, and Vi gets to see how the other side lives, and they say that they'll set up some time with the council, and then we kind of get to see Jace in the council, trying to force their hand a bit by wanting them to take more action once Vi and Caitlyn get in there. Yeah,
well, I think we kind of have to talk about Jace a little bit more, and also Mel's mom, Miss Medarda, who shows up.
Because I love Mel's mom. Yeah.
Everyone whispers in Jace's ear. And Jace is so easy to manipulate, even to the point Vi met him for 1 second in a council meeting, shows up at his house and was like, you're the one I can manipulate. Oh, right. You're the idiot who will agree with me. To the point everyone knows. But also,
Jace is dumb, yeah.
That Mel's mom shows up, immediately gallivants with Howl's Moving Castle over there. Just finds the prettiest anime boy to go.
I love every scene with Mel's mom is so great. I love the flashback with little kid Mel when her mom is like, wolves don't show mercy. I was like, oh my gosh. Yes.
You have to be both the wolf and the fox. And then we find out that Mel was not bloodthirsty enough, which is why she was exiled to Piltover. That her mom thought she was too much fox, not enough wolf, and sent her to Piltover. So this whole time, we have been critiquing Mel, being like she's so crafty and ruthless, and she's not even the most ruthless one.
Yeah, they freaking episode 5'd us when they were like, there's another that's even worse. There's always a bigger fish, but I love that we kind of get to see the alternative to what Mel is now. Mm-hmm. And I think she's the best character. She's so complex and
Now, do you still think she's a villain?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, okay, so when I say villain, I don't necessarily mean like, Dr. Evil, Dr. Eggman, Mustache Twirly. I think it's more complicated than that. I think a lot of the characters are just way more complicated than that, which I love.
Yeah.
But I think that in the grand scheme of the show of like Piltover and the Undercity and how everybody's kind of moving towards certain goals, like she is kind of the villain because she's just essentially looking out for herself. Like she's very selfish with a lot of the stuff that she does.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that we disagree on what villain is.
I think it's just different depending on the story,
Fair. But yes, I want to see the scene right before Jace walks in on Mel's mom in a hot tub. How did she get him there? I want to know what she said to someone for him to show up and have this meeting with her at the spa. Like, Jace, what? You need a secretary or something, because you dumb idiot. Someone's like, hey, someone wants to talk to you. He's like, I'll go anywhere. Like, how did you just show up here?
Essentially the most powerful man in the city.
And he's a brilliant scientist. Yeah. But she also gets it puts it in his ear too, being like, you need to be stronger. You need to, like, don't show weakness, right?
Or you'll die with your eyes closed. Yeah. So good.
Which sort of manipulates Jace, as he is always getting up to. Because in that council meeting, like, this whole time he has been preaching, like, our Hex Tech isn't weaponry. And then he's like, we gotta go murder Silco. I love that Caitlyn's been gone for one day and she shows back up and Jace is like, I'm on the council and I'm for pro-murder. And Caitlyn's like, what has happened? This is my girlfriend. What have you been up to?
I gotta say, personally, I was like, put him in the dirt. The world will be better. But at the same time, it's like he's doing it for the wrong reasons. Like he's not trying to like seek justice or solve a problem. He's like he's being manipulated by other people who have their own agendas. I also love the scene where like, I'm a sucker for Caitlyn and Vi's relationship.
I know.
I love the scene after the courtroom scene where they're talking and Vi tells Caitlyn that they're like oil and water. I think that scene is really interesting on multiple layers because immediately after that, Vi goes to Jace. And I think it like sort of shows us the boundary or sort of the line that Caitlyn won't cross and why Vi tries to manipulate Jace to get what she wants. But she's like, your way is too slow or it's like ineffective, I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, and I also think that she just doesn't want Caitlyn to be involved with it, right? Because she's like, we tried doing it your way, and it failed. Nobody wants anything to do with me. And I don't think Vi holds that necessarily against Caitlyn, but she was like, I need something else right now.
Yeah.
And I don't want you involved with it. And then she says, who's the most gullible idiot I can get to do it?
In all the land, it's Jace.
Who, I have several things. Like, at a certain point, I know that, like, they have to start using the weapons that they use in the game, but his hammer gun looks so stupid and ridiculous.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy you said that. That's
I understand.
This is my hot take. I know for people who play the game, I love this for you. I'm so happy that this is in the show for you. For me, as somebody who doesn't know anything about it, I'm like, that looks silly. Why is the hammer so big? Why are the gloves so big? Why do you look like a cartoon character in this world that's kind of realistic?
They are cartoon characters.
It's so silly. And also, like, Vi and Jace teaming up after one conversation
mistake
feels a little too Batman versus Superman to me. Of like, why did you say that name?
Martha, yeah.
Silco, yeah.
No, I mean, I think we can see how Jace gets pushed here. And I think this is the first choice. I don't necessarily know that Vi is wrong for being like, Silco is the linchpin. He can't be reasoned with, which I would argue is probably true, because what Silco wants is an independent Zahn. And I don't think the council would, like, if the council was to talk to him, I don't think that they would ever give it to him. Like, that's what he wants. He wants equal rights. He wants his own independent nation that he runs. I get it, Silco. I get what's up with you here. I don't think the council would ever give it to him. So I think Vi is right that the only way to stop his influence is to stop him. And we can't talk it out with him. I think that this is maybe her first actual bad decision Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
Where
She's
she
on
says
the board.
the answer is to go against everyone, to go with untested hex tech weapons and an idiot who has never seen combat before. And you know what he does with his big hammer gun? Murders a child.
Yes, this is the second part of my hot take of these super fast moving assassin people bred for combat come out of this tank, and then Councilman Jace, who's never been in a fight, is holding his own with his super hammer.
Correct.
And I was like, all right, I've reached the end of my suspension of disbelief.
Now, don't you remember episode 7? He had his shirt off and he was ripped.
He is jacked. That means that he's a badass in combat.
He's a combat expert, this man. Ripped his head.
Shredded.
He's absolutely... I heard that Jace has an 8-pack. I heard he was absolutely shredded.
Yeah, when the kid dies, that is really sad. That was another moment where I was like, dang, I was shook. That was really sad. I also so there's a conversation that Jace and Vi have where he's like, we got to lock him up. We got to send him to jail. Or does he say he's going to send her to jail? And she's like, have you ever even been and you don't know what fate you're sending people to? Thought that was great. But then they bust the lab or whatever, and he sees that there's a bunch of child laborers in there. Mm-hmm. And I think it kind of cuts away. And I was like, what happened to all those kids? Are you going to save the kids? Are they going to jail? What happened to the kids?
Well, I guess we're going to find out next episode. There are a couple storylines that we end on a cliffhanger here, right? So we've got Jace and Vi in the Shimmer production facility where Jace just murdered a child because he's an untrained soldier with a hammer gun. I trust Vi with Hextech gloves because she's been punching with Vander's gloves for her whole childhood, but whatever.
Yeah, we've seen her fight several times. Yeah.
I trust her. I don't trust Jace with his hammer gun. So we don't know the next steps of that story. Victor has been left changed in some way with the ashes of Sky on the floor of his lab. And we don't know what's up with Echo and Heimerdinger. They just had a conversation and he said, my ride is busted. So maybe something cool is going to happen there. And then Caitlin, I think we need to talk about, got out of her very hot, steamy shower. And in the horror movie scene, there was a spooky Jinx drawing, I think. That monkey on the mirror.
I think, so but we kind of breeze past it, but when Jinx gets hurt on the bridge, Silco rushes up like a concerned parent, takes her to the doctor.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, you're gross and evil. I don't care. Leave this child alone. You're bad. And then they did some weird science on her.
Don't mistake the fact that I do think he cares about her in his own sick, twisted way for me thinking that it is okay that their relationship exists in any way. I hate it. Every time I feel like they have any sort of affection for each other, I hate it instinctually. Every fiber of my being.
I also love the scene when Silco gasses the other criminals in the Undercity.
Oh, we didn't really talk about that. Yes.
Yeah, such a great scene. I think we don't have to talk about it for too much, but I love crime stories. It also shows us that there are other people in the Undercity,
yes,
who he kind of has to deal with, but obviously he's the most dangerous one. What I always I love a lot of the Batman comics, and I always love the ones that are kind of more like gangster stories and have a lot of the different rogues gallery in them. And to me, that's one of the most interesting things about the Joker in those books is that he doesn't have any powers like some of the other villains, but he's the most dangerous because he's so unpredictable because he doesn't have the same motivations of money as other people do. And I thought this scene was kind of, I wouldn't say it was Joker level, but I thought it was interesting of how he kind of expresses his dominance over these others. However, you see that, what's his face? I forget his name. The guy with the metal mouth, Finn, tries to win Savika over.
Learns nothing, Carmen.
Yeah, I was like,
he learns nothing.
He's dumb. Yeah. So obviously she's got a snitch on.
I don't think he's wrong. I can see that angle that he's playing and why it makes sense to him. But literally, he almost just died. Silco he tried to do a coup. Silco caught him immediately, poisoned him, and he almost died. He turns around and goes, "My mistake. Savika, I should have invited you to the coup the first time."
She was there. She locked the door.
You should have been at the table, Savika. I missed my bad, Savika.
Can we try again?
Can we do another coup, a secondary coup? Thank you.
A coup do-over.
Yeah. So I don't like Silco, but I'm with you on the, like, I love seeing a crime boss, and I do think that was a badass stunt he pulls. Like, very crime boss, very cool. Even though obviously bad, but don't poison the people who work for you unless you need to earn their loyalty. Then we can you need to ensure that they won't mutiny.
Insurance policy.
But I do just love that idiot immediately turns around and is like, "Oh, coup time? Second time coup?
Coup times two? Yeah.
Coup times two?"
But like you said, they did some weird science on Jinx, and the next time we see her is in the shower after she's been waiting for Caitlyn.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
Caitlyn's in the shower, but Jinx is, which I also like the bathhouse scene. It's so funny that it's like, did you just wait in the bathroom for her to take a shower? You're like she's on the board, on the mirror, just like drawing this thing, like hiding in the bathroom. It's a cool scene, but if you think about it logistically, it's kind of silly. But
I like to think that Jinx showed up to kidnap her and like walked around her bedroom for a while and couldn't find her, and then heard the shower running, and then walked into the shower ready to scare her, but she was like crying in there about her sad feelings about Vi. And so Jinx is like, "Okay, I guess, the mirror's all fogged up. Let me draw a thing. Hopefully she'll come out soon." Like, like Jinx is just like checking her wristwatch. Like, what is taking so long?
How polite to wait till she finishes the show. I'll kidnap you, but you got to be clean first.
Yeah. What's maximum spooky that I can do here?
You got to see me in the mirror behind you. Yeah, so Caitlyn seemingly gets kidnapped or is at least in trouble. I got to say, I think that, like, Powder's, I don't know. I'm, like, conflicted about Powder's, like, dislike rivalry, I guess, with Caitlyn. Of, like, she feels like she's taking her sister or whatever. I don't have siblings, so I'm like, I don't get it. But maybe that's the sibling thing of, like, oh, man, my sibling has other people that they like more than me. Or something like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a sibling thing so much as a traumatized child thing.
Yeah, that's probably a big part. And the drugs. The drugs are probably a big part of it, too.
Yeah, although, I mean, she was having those feelings beforehand anyway. I think that, like, children, when you're younger, you can get jealous. Like, it's very normal for siblings who, like, grow up together to be, like, kind of jealous when your siblings start to have other friends, right? You start going to school and you're like, oh, we spent all of our lives together and now you have other people you want to hang out with. I thought I was the one you hang out with. So, like, I think that is a normal, like, younger child sibling behavior. It's not very normal when you're a teenager and your sister has a girlfriend. But in their circumstance, I think it makes perfect sense that, like, the way that she is trying to, like, wrestle and understand her situation and Vi's situation is, like, Vi came back for me. And then there's that voice in her head that is like, no, she doesn't care about you. She cares about this new person. Like, you are always nothing to her. This other person is more important than you. Which is, like, obviously not true. And we as the audience know it's not true. And it's so sad to, like, see Jinx misunderstand everything that's happening all the time. Like, girl, you just fired your machine gun at Vi and Caitlyn. No wonder she's not dropping Caitlyn to come towards you. She thinks you're gonna shoot her. Like, girl, you gotta calm down a bit. But, like, for us, that's rational. But for her, like, she is so traumatized. Like, her brain is not a safe place to live. And so it makes sense to me that, like, this is the way that she has twisted it.
Especially after, like, 6 or 7 years of being groomed by Silco. Oh, and we also skipped over, there's that scene where she confronts Silco in his office. Stabs
him a bunch.
Yeah, and he kind of, like, reaffirms his control over her, lying about what Vi did. Which is really heartbreaking. But
it's really sad because, like, Jinx has been so tortured and, like, abused and traumatized growing up and is less easy to manipulate than Jace is.
Roasted. Got him.
Welcome to my Jace hate podcast, right? Just talking about how much I hate Jace. I don't even hate him. I just think he's dumb.
So before we close out, we got our Bad Decision Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, we haven't been doing the thirst tracker, but, like, I think it still stands a bajillion out of 5 for Caitlin and Vi.
Yeah,
10
we
out
did.
of 5 for Jason Mel.
We did this last week, yeah.
Yeah. But for the Bad Decision Olympics, last time we said Jace was gold. We said Victor was silver. We said Vi, Marcus, Jinx, and Heimerdinger were bronze. And then we gave honorable mentions to Silco and Mel.
Right, yeah. I think you're right that... I don't know that he's gold. Oh, well, we'll give Silco gold this week because...
He was like, my daughter's hurt. Should I take her to a doctor in the Undercity that I control? No, I should go to the drug dealer doctor.
He did take her to the doctor in the Undercity that he controls.
That's true. He did take her to the doctor, but not the right one.
I think silver medal goes to Jace and Vi. And Victor, I think Jace and Vi for... I don't know. Maybe Jace is also in gold, but I'm just
Can I make the argument for Victor to be gold because Sky died? I know it wasn't his fault, but because he's at work, butt naked at work, experimenting with this tech. And it's like, why don't you take it to your house?
Yeah, I'll allow it. You can put Victor up here. I mean,
okay, cool.
I do think he lives there, but agreed.
Oh, dang. That's sad. Okay.
I mean, I don't think he goes home to sleep. I don't know. I feel like maybe he just has an apartment. I don't think we've ever seen his house. I don't know why I assumed he slept at the university, but I guess that's not canonical in any way. My brain was like, yeah, he sleeps here.
Awesome. What do we got at bronze?
Jinx, because she makes bad decisions, but it's not necessarily her fault. Marcus, because this is his... I think he's still on the board because this is his final bad decision.
This man has lived and died on the Bad Decision Tracker.
Yeah, he will always. And I think honorary mention Heimerdinger, not that he has made a bad decision, but I think in these episodes, we see him walking the Undercity and realizing he has made bad decisions in the past. Like, he did not put enough attention to the problems that were brewing in the city.
Yeah.
And so he's honorable mention.
On a rewatch, I was like, oh, people in the Undercity know who he is and they don't like him. Mm-hmm. It's not that the Undercity is dangerous. They're like, I don't like you. I was like, dang.
He was like, I don't have a job anymore, so let me go hang out with the poor people and see if they need my help. For some reason, they don't like it when I'm there. It's almost so like I didn't help them when I had power, and now they don't want my help now that I have time. So that's why I think he's on honorary mention of like, he didn't make a bad decision, but I think he is now seeing the results of bad council decisions he's made.
Yes. What about Mel's mom? Who I forget her name.
I don't think she has. They just call her Miss Medarda. I don't know that they have called her a first name. She can hang out on here.
She has some of the best scenes, but no bad decisions just yet.
No, I mean, she's part of like a conquering people that clearly murder a bunch of people. But like,
she's a warlord for sure.
That seems more cultural.
Right, everybody is cool with this warlord coming to town with her army.
Yeah.
Which nobody's like, this is problematic.
But if you think about it, that's like part of her traditions. So who are we to judge?
Oh, man. Sampling the local cuisine.
No, but I would put this in the same category of like Silco, of like making bad decisions that we all know are bad. Like Jace struggling with whether or not to build weapons, I think is like, you've chosen a bad path, but I can see how you got here. You're not doing it because you think weapons are cool and you want to subjugate people. You're doing it because you think it will solve a problem that you have.
Because he's gullible.
Yeah, because he's an idiot. But like, he's not doing it to cause harm.
Yeah. Any others before we just recap?
No, I think we've done a good job with these two. But let us know if there's anything we missed.
Awesome. Yes. So to recap for you all, honorary mentions this week, we have Heimerdinger, Mel, and Mom Moderna. Bronze medals, we have Marcus and Jinx. Is that not Medarda?
Medarda? You said Moderna, like the COVID like the vaccine.
Drug, yeah. Sorry. Oops.
Mom Moderna. And Father Pfizer.
Bronze medal, we have Marcus and Jinx. Silver medal, we have Jason Vi.
Yep.
And our gold medal winners for this week are Silco and Victor.
Great.
So before we get out of here, though, I gotta say, Aaron Fusco.
What are you curious about?
Do you still love it?
I do. It's a good show. I'm going to say that every week. Maybe I hate the finale, actually. We don't know. But as of right now, 8 episodes in, I love it. It's a good show. It's fun to watch. It's not too long, even though I wish it was longer. Like, I want to spend more time with these characters. I want there to be more. I want 3 more seasons right now to hang out with these guys and learn about the world. But I think we are headed toward an explosive finale, and I can't wait to watch that next week. But there is one more thing that, like, I just want to sort of ask before we close out.
Yeah, what's up, bud?
Do you still love it?
I'm on the fence. I mean, like, yeah, I know, stop the presses. I don't know. It's just like these 2 episodes. It mostly was the hammer, man. It was the hammer, and it was Jace fighting with the hammer.
It was the hammer, silly. And it was the have to watch music videos. You hate it.
Look, it's a great show. The writing and the art and everything is so great and amazing. I'm excited to see what happens next week. But for all of you out there, thank you so much for listening. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a review. Let us know what you thought. And tell us on socials about your bad decision Olympics and how you rank everybody so far. We really appreciate you all listening. And welcome to the club. And remember, it's dangerous to watch TV alone.